Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to help you to open your mind, get curious about yourself and raise your consciousness levels. I am your host, Karen Maloney, and I work as an inside-out coach, mentor and guide, helping women to revolutionize their internal chatter and create a life they love. Listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or whatever platform you choose. Check out my website as well, soulpowerlight.com, for more info. Hello everybody. Welcome. It's me, Karen Maloney, and thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've got a really interesting conversation this week and a first time on the podcast really talking about this space per se, and we are talking crypto and Bitcoin and cryptocurrency a little bit. And I was really excited to connect with Alex on this topic. And just a reminder, if you want to join my mailing list before we get into today's episode, go to my Instagram handle at Karen Maloney _ after the Y in Maloney on Instagram. Click the link in the bio and it's top of the list. So then back to today's guest, and today joining me is Alex Dudgeon, and Alex is a qualified meditation teacher, events organiser and cryptocurrency educator from the UK. He has successfully blended the worlds of finance and personal growth. He is a conscious crypto educator and meditation teacher who helps spiritually focused people to become more financially sovereign and free. His unique approach has helped thousands of people create abundance through conscious investing, passive income, and elevating their wealth consciousness. He is a qualified podcast host, truth seeker, and conscious events organizer. His aim in life is to become a more peaceful, loving, and empowered person in order to be of service to his family and wider community. So it was great to connect with Alex and have this conversation. And first of all, he shared some of his background and how he wasn't that person who had any kind of practice, but after the passing of his dad, he really struggled to find inner peace, and that led him to meditation. And he became quite obsessive early on and started creating his own guided meditations. And it brought him so much support that he shared it with his wider community. And then with the pandemic and everything going on, he was furloughed and he delved into the world of crypto and again found himself absolutely immersed and loving it, just like he had with meditation. So he shares lots about what is crypto in the first place, the energy of money, whether crypto can prevent fraud or money laundering, and why he sees it as it having great potential for humanity going forward. So, lots to take in this episode, and Alex has also kindly shared a meditation for financial abundance. I have linked that on the show notes as well on my website, karenmaloney.com. If you go to the podcast section, you will find it there. But you can also find out more about Alex's work and connect with him and his community on his website, which is www.enlightenwithalex.co.uk. Enjoy. Hello everybody, welcome. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Delighted to have you join again today. And today I have Alex joining me. So first of all, you're very welcome, Alex, and thanks for coming along today.
Thank you very much for having me on, Karen.
I say coming along today as if, we're here side by side, but joining over the interwebs. Really excited to connect with you today and talk all things conscious crypto and wealth consciousness. And I find it really interesting that you're a meditation and a crypto educator. So maybe even if you just give us some background information of how you came to blend these two worlds together.
Yeah, sure. So I suppose meditation came first. I sadly lost my dad about 4.5 years ago, I think it was now.
Sorry about that.
And I had a kind of very mystical experience off the back of that, and a sort of awakening, if you like, following that situation. And then from there, I kind of needed something to help me find a bit of peace. So yeah, I'd heard about meditation. I travelled around Southeast Asia for a few months before, and I saw all that good stuff going on, but I didn't actually get involved at the time. So it'd always been kind of there and something I wanted to try, but with the kind of pain I was going through, it was something where now I needed something. So I gave it a try and I became obsessed quite early on, really. And then next thing you know, I was meditating every single morning, felt great, found a lot of kind of inner peace with that. And then later down the line, I was actually doing some plant medicine as another part of my kind of healing process.
Mm.
And within that ceremony, I was kind of had a calling to teach meditation because obviously it helped me so much. I was mainly using apps. I was doing a few classes in person, but Insight Timer and whatnot. And yeah, I had a calling there to go and teach it myself. So literally a month later after the retreat, quit my job. I was like, right, stuff it. I'm going to India. Went to India, did a course, which was superb. Love doing that. And then, yeah, I've hosted a lot of workshops and classes since then. And during the lockdown, when I couldn't do that, I got into writing my own meditations, guided meditations, which I actually preferred doing that than teaching classes. I really enjoyed it because, like I say, that's what really helped me through my journey. And I've uploaded them now onto a couple of apps, so Aura and Insight Timer as well. So it's been really cool going full circle with Insight Timer from the app helping me so much, and now I get to read really lovely comments about my meditations and how they're helping other people. So yeah, it's
That is cool.
been pretty heartwarming.
Amazing.
So yeah, and also obviously, yeah, lockdowns and whatever changed everyone's life in some way, didn't they? And I got put on furlough because I went back to the corporate world after my meditation teacher training. Still didn't have the full confidence in myself to take that leap because I'd never liked working for the people. Hated 9 to 5. I found it quite soul destroying, but stupidly carried on and just went along for the safe paycheck. But I got put on furlough, so it was kind of like, this is a great chance now to throw myself at something, getting paid for doing nothing at home. And I've recently had a bit of inheritance money to play with. So I was like reading about different investments. And once I started reading about crypto, it just clicked with me straight away. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I think it's going to be the future. And again, same with the meditation, got obsessed. And I was watching educational videos every day, joined an academy. I joined a conscious crypto circle, which is what inspired me to eventually create my own. So yeah, I was just learning loads, and it just felt like the universe, God, whatever you believe, was kind of calling me to this, and I just went all in with it. And luckily, so far, it's really paid off. And yeah, obviously, I haven't had to go back to work and loving life. So yeah, it's been a great journey so far.
Amazing. That's really cool. And that's the perfect example of taking things and running with it and not just waiting around for something to happen. And just before we move on a little bit, I just want to circle back to your mystical experience or your awakening that you had following the loss of your dad. And even if you can just describe it a little for people, because I believe as well, so many have gone through awakenings now, even in the last, year and a half, 2 years. So I'd love for you to just share a little bit about what that experience was for you.
Yeah, sure, of course. It's nice to be able to chat to someone who, understands.
Yeah, I'm all into it. Go for it.
So I was caring for him the few weeks leading up to his death because I'd been living in Australia. So when I came back, I didn't have a job and everyone else was working. So I was able to care for him, which was really, really difficult. But at the same time, it was, an honour because I was really close to my dad. But anyway, a couple of nights before he passed, I was asleep, whatever. I've never had like sleep paralysis or anything like that before. And I just kind of woke up in the middle of the night and there was this black angel figure under the bed, like huge, had a big kind of powerful energy about it, just staring down at me. And I couldn't move. I was trying to move my arm, my hand, nothing, just frozen. And then, yeah, after about a minute, I kind of just passed out back to sleep.
Wow.
And I read about that online. Actually, a lot of other people have experienced something similar. And then a couple of nights after, same thing happened again. Woke up in the night out of nowhere, and there was like this figure kind of like a skeleton, if you like, walking across the end of my bed, same mannerisms as my dad and everything, and just sat cross-legged and just like smiling at me. And it kind of felt like he was saying, I'm in this, I don't know, other dimension or whatever you want to call it, and I'm at peace. So that was kind of it for me. I just thought, well, there's clearly something more than this kind of material realm. And since then, I've delved very deep into spirituality, the occult, and all that kind of stuff.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I always love to hear other people's experiences as well. And I'm sure many, maybe some have seen figures or felt a powerful energy. And often other times as well, it can seem like everything is falling apart, but it's all part of it as well. And how did you feel? Did you ever feel scared, or was the energy very reassuring or loving, or how was it?
I don't remember. I think the Black Angel maybe a little bit of fear, but generally I'm feeling like really at peace,
Mm.
which was strange, really. I think if you'd have told me before that this was going to happen, I think, bloody hell, that sounds
Yeah.
scary, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But no,
exactly.
it just felt really nice, and
Oh.
it kind of gave me a new lease of life in a way, because
Mm.
before that, um, I had a good life, but I was probably partying way too much, like really heavily drinking on a weekend to probably escape certain issues
Mm.
I had and whatnot. And I don't think without that experience, I wouldn't be half the man I am today, and my life wouldn't be half as good as it is today. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that it happened, really.
Yeah, amazing. And that's the thing about it as well. Even if it seems scary or like that, it's like you said as well, it's kind of seen beyond just this material world, and feeling an energy and knowing that we're not here alone, or we're, I don't know what's the word, but it's like that we're being guided and we're being supported,
Yeah,
and it's not just all about the material. There's so much more beyond as well that's intangible that we often don't see, but we can feel. And when we tap into it, we can make the most of this experience here in this physical realm as well, even through the challenges and the difficulties as well. So thank you for just went off topic there a little bit as well, but thank you for sharing that, because I just thought it was really nice to share as well. But then when we go back to crypto, you mentioned crypto and how you came across it when you were furloughed and really delved into it. So I'm sure lots of people have heard the word now as well, but even just to explain a little bit again, what is crypto?
yeah. So basically, it's decentralized finance. So at the moment, we have what's called centralized finance, money that's produced by central organisations like governments and the banks, and then distributed out. With cryptocurrencies, it's decentralised, so it's controlled by protocols, mathematics, computer programming, and it's all kind of transparent, so anyone can go in and see what these different programs are that are running the system, which is really important because, as we know, the banks and the governments don't always have the public interests at heart, to say the least, really. And the amount of wealth inequality we can see across the globe is just disgusting, in my opinion.
Mm.
So that was a huge reason I got involved in crypto. So yeah, that's just a basic kind of intro.
Cool. And then how did you begin to blend the two, bringing in the consciousness, your meditation, your tools, this more mindful aspect to approaching crypto or investment or whatever the case may be?
Well, the decision itself in the first place to move away from fiat currencies, dollars, pounds, and the institutions that control them, the energy behind them, which I don't like, and towards cryptocurrency, which is about creating, a fairer world that's abundant for everyone. So
Mhm.
that in itself, for me, is a conscious decision that I think people need to seriously sit and think about. Which system do we want to build? The old one that just hasn't served us well as people so far, or this new system that could be so beneficial and bring a lot of hope? For example, in El Salvador, they've made it legal tender now,
Mm.
Bitcoin, which has stirred up the central banks. But yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
and it's just solving a lot of problems. So, for example, this is just like a really small story, but I just found it quite cute. So there's this woman who works in America, because a lot of Salvadorians work in America and send money home. So she sent home every week $25 so they could put flowers out at the church from where she lives. But it was costing her $5 every time, because I forget which bank it is now. But the main bank that deals with these payments charges quite a bit. I mean, that's what, 25%. So that was eating away at her flower money. And this particular bank now is crying because they're losing $500 million a year because people are sending Bitcoin home instead and not having to pay these ridiculous fees. So now she can send it back the full 25, or the 20 that's needed for the flowers, and keeps the 5. So that's just on a real small scale.
Yeah. It's amazing. And that's one of the things about it, isn't it? That it's kind of cutting out the middleman, that people can send money quickly, easily, fastly, instantly to each other anywhere around the world.
Yeah, it's completely borderless. It's a global currency. And yeah, the supply is a huge factor as well. So with Bitcoin, there'll only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, whereas with fiat currency, they can just print it out of thin air. So, for example, in the States now, inflation's 6%. In the UK, it's about 4.5%. But that's the official figures. In reality, it's probably quite a bit higher. They've printed 40% of all the US dollars in existence have been printed in the last 18 months, which is astounding when you think about it, because that goes back about 300 years. So yeah, and that's eroding people's savings, the value of the savings over time.
Yeah, for sure. And when you say it's a limited supply, does that mean, or how does that help people, say if all the Bitcoins are mined and then they're out there? How can that help people then who may not have some, or how does that work?
Yeah, so there's still about 3 million Bitcoin that haven't been mined yet, that will happen over the next few decades. So there still is plenty of Bitcoin out there. You can also buy Bitcoin off people that's already in circulation. And also, it's not just Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin was the first mover. It's what's made all this possible. There's loads of different crypto projects. You got to be careful because there's a lot of scams and whatnot, which is why I created my community. Well, one of the reasons I created my community, to make sure people buy crypto safely and are investing in the right projects. But yeah, there's loads of other great upcoming projects too. So if you do kind of feel like you've missed the boat with Bitcoin, there's other places you can put your money.
Are there any ones in particular that you're interested in or think are really cool? And this is not giving people advice, because obviously they need to do their research and not just follow blindly. But any coins that are, I don't know, seem really interesting.
Yeah, well, within my community, I've got a big section on my website which details all this. But yeah, just off the top of my head, a few others. Well, the second biggest crypto, Ethereum, that's an incredible project. There's like a whole huge ecosystem built off that. So I don't know if you've heard of NFTs or DeFi. A lot of those protocols are built on top of Ethereum. So that's like a whole new kind of universe in itself.
Yeah.
So they call Bitcoin like a website because it's quite basic in what it can do, and they call Ethereum an equivalent of the whole internet because it's just so vast. And then other projects, I don't know, there's gaming coins, that's quite an upcoming thing. There's one called Elrond. There's all sorts, there's a lot.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot. And then do you think crypto can become, because obviously the institutions, the banks, who control the money, they do not want to lose control. Do you think, or would they be able to bring it into their system in some way, as in take control of Bitcoin or whatever platforms?
No, I don't think that's possible. And they're definitely kind of running a bit scared. I think Hillary Clinton the other day was saying how Bitcoin's a threat to the US dollar. kind of like saying it as this negative thing, but everyone within the crypto space was quite buzzing and excited that she'd said that, because it shows that they see this as a threat. And
Scared.
people have been saying for years that Bitcoin could become the global reserve currency instead of the US dollar, because it can't be manipulated, which is what we need, basically.
Yeah, for sure. But then there's the other side of it as well, because it is so anonymous, because you can do such direct transactions to anyone. What is in the case when it comes to fraud or
Fraud.
money laundering?
Well, 99% of the money laundering happens through fiat currency. Like, crypto has built up this reputation, probably purposely through the media, that it is this kind of currency used for criminal activity, but it's actually less than 0.1% of all crypto transactions are for criminal activity. So it's very, very low. It's
Is
kind
that
of
just
like,
because they haven't changed over to it yet?
possibly, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't use Bitcoin because all the transactions are stored on the blockchain. So it'd be very easy to actually find someone through the IP address or whatever. There's other coins which they're trying to ban. There's one called Monero, which is a privacy coin. So when you send the money, it deletes the transaction history. So it's like completely anonymous. Whereas Bitcoin, all the transactions stay on the blockchain, so you can easily track them. So it's not really ideal for criminals, which is why they probably haven't illegalized it.
Cool. Good to know. And then, well, even just talking about, because you have your background in meditation and many other tools and modalities that you've studied, and you're bringing it into this space, how, or just generally, how do you view the energy and frequency of money or wealth consciousness?
Oh, good question. Um, well, yeah, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? Primarily, it's an energy. It's kind of, yeah, life energy. When you work to create money, it's what your life energy is putting out. You're getting something back in return, which you can use to improve your life. Yeah, just inflow and outflow of energy. So I see it as being like a knife, is what I usually say. You can either use it to do something really nice, like make a nice sandwich for your partner or whatnot, or you can stab someone in the back. I mean, it's the same with money. It depends on your intention. It can be a beautiful thing, or it can be an horrific thing. But I don't agree with the kind of statements like it's the root of all evil and that kind of thing. I wouldn't agree with those kind of statements.
Yeah. Neither do I. They're just like a lot of things that we've picked up along the way. They're just old limiting beliefs that are not true. And like that as well, it's very true what you say about money. And now I just view money as well. It's just an energy. Money just is. And like that knife analogy, it depends on how we use it each individually. And it can be a source for so much good in the world and bad. And that depends on individual choice and, our own internal workings and where we're aligned. But it just is. It
Well,
just is an energy.
well, yeah, and this is another big reason I started the community, because I think within people that are into spirituality and consciousness, often money's rejected.
Mm.
Which I totally understand. Like, I don't think it's important on your spiritual path, whatever. But I wanted people who did want to become abundant and be able to help charities or maybe set up their own amazing projects that are going to help change the world. I wanted to help make that possible for people. And yeah, if it's done correctly, you can create a lot of wealth in a short period of time. So a long-term goal of the community is for us to kind of come together and create some of these projects. Like, me and my fiance would love to set up an orphanage in Nepal one day, for example. Things like that. And it's kind of making those dreams possible, having the power and the ability to help others, as well as create your own dream life as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not an either or, it can be an and. And
Yeah.
it ties back to probably as well what you said towards the beginning, and having your mystical experience and seeing that, seeing beyond and seeing this is an experience we're here to have, and it is just a finite amount of time in this form at the end of the day. So it's about doing good and being abundant, being happy, being loving, and spreading that no matter what. And that's the inner work, for us to do, to be able to be at that level and not get so stuck in the drama and all that goes on as well. It's there. It's not about denial, but there's many tools and techniques to move through it as well, and to get into that place of being of service and helping and doing good and leaving the place maybe a little bit better than we found it, hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's something, that you mentioned as well, especially it's definitely an old story of, if you are spiritual, it's bad to want money or it's bad to be abundant. So how then in your community, or do you have some tips that you can share with people to help them to elevate into the frequency and energy of money?
Well, yeah, I don't think I answered this question earlier. I think you asked how does meditation, whatnot, help?
Yeah,
And
that's
like
okay.
you just said, it's just so important doing the inner work, because I wouldn't be able to kind of manage the portfolio and whatever I manage now if I hadn't have done the inner work and the meditation, whatnot. I'd probably be a mess. Probably be checking the price every 2 minutes. So yeah, it all starts with the inner work. I do have a meditation about financial abundance, kind of letting go of old patterns and kind of using affirmations and things like that to reprogram the subconscious and bring in new patterns. So yeah, I think the first thing is, and I've done a webinar on this, which is on my website. It's about an hour and a half long. It's called The Psychology of Investing. I think the first thing is recognizing these patterns. So, for example, one thing you hear a lot, I don't know if you yourself heard this as a child, but money doesn't grow on trees,
Mm-hmm.
which is tapping into that frequency, that vibration of lack. It's
Yeah.
saying that, there's not much money out there, so you have to be careful with it, be afraid of it. And, the irony is, of course, money literally does grow on trees
Trees,
because
yeah.
it's made out of paper.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And like I've said, they can print it out of thin air. There's trillions and trillions of it in existence. So there's no reason why you or I or the listener can't have a piece of that for ourselves and do some good with it. So yeah, I think it's a long process. I don't think it's something overnight, and I still have to work on things myself. I can
Mm-hmm.
definitely fall into the trap of that kind of lack mentality
For
at
sure.
times. So yeah, I think it's a long journey.
Yeah, myself included as well. And I think all this work is lifelong. It doesn't stop. And it is that consistency that helps you to become more stable and be able to emotionally self-regulate as well internally. So you're not at the mercy of every slight movement or drama or whatever the hell is going on. And that's, vital to kind of move through the world as well. And if you have a copy of that webinar or the meditation, I don't know if the meditation is part of your group or you have it available on your website as well for all, but I can link those as well on the show notes if you wish.
The webinar is part of my paid group. The meditation, I can send out a
Okay,
link to that.
perfect.
Or in
Okay, cool.
fact, I'll send out the MP3 to download if people want, and they can use that. I'll throw that in as a freebie.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for that. And then just, I suppose, the last question to wrap up. And maybe you've touched on it a little, but what do you think crypto means for the future of humanity?
I think it's absolutely huge, and for someone who maybe hasn't looked into it at all, you probably think that sounds crazy. It's just this kind of dumb internet money. But the more I've learnt and researched, the more I think it's absolutely vital. We have a saying within crypto: "Fix the money, fix the world." And there's so much corruption at the top of so many industries. I'm sure yourself have looked into some of these, big pharma,
Yeah.
banking,
Mhm.
politics, all of those kind of things. And they're all controlled at the highest level by the same people who
Mhm.
own the money supply. So we're kind of at their mercy at the moment and have been for a long, long time. And crypto finally is offering that alternative. If we all adopt this new system, this new way, and like I say, it doesn't just have to be Bitcoin where it's just the real early adopters that are benefiting. There's upcoming projects all the time. And yeah, we can just create a whole new world that's just more fair and offers more opportunities for people. So I can't really say anything much higher than that, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's true. And especially, maybe us coming from the Western world, we may be a bit oblivious as well. But for the likes of people here, even in Mexico and third world countries, so many people don't have access to a bank account either. So this gives them the capacity as well to be able to have some finances or to be able, interact with other people who are not near them and things like that. And I just, again, I don't know so much, but I'm definitely interested and have been learning bits. And yeah, I think as well, there is huge potential, like you say, for more equality, less corruption, more access for everyone. And again, that cutting out the middleman and just more
Well,
direct as well.
well, yeah, you're spot on with what you're saying about Mexico, and that's actually all over the world. I think there's about 3 billion people that are
Hmm.
unbanked,
Yeah.
so that's nearly half the world. And with crypto, you don't need a bank; all you need is a smartphone.
And
And
everyone has smartphones.
there's more
That's one
people
thing.
with
They might not
smartphones.
have bank accounts, but everyone has smartphones.
Well, exactly, and that's why El Salvador was a perfect country to adopt it,
Hmm.
because there was 70% of the population was unbanked, but they all had phones. So now they're all banked. The president gave them all some free Bitcoin to get them started. They've gave them all educational courses on how to use it. So now they just use like little QR codes, the same as tapping your bank card, and they're trading things on the street and all sorts with Bitcoin. So it's amazing how quickly it's changing the world.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant as well and exciting, in so many aspects, not just crypto. We are in like such an exciting, pivotal point in humanity. Yes, messy, yes, difficult, but again, it all comes down to us individually on what world we're going to create. It's like you mentioned with the knife, we can create or keep going with what we had and being at the mercy of all things, or we can create something more community based, more connected, more oneness, and less corruption. And let's all go for the less corruption option and not feeding the few people at the top, but coming together as a one human family and being able to support each other a bit more in that aspect.
Yeah, spot on. I'd completely vouch for those words.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining today. And if there's anything you feel you would still like to share, please do. But please also share where people can find out more on your work.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, guys, every month I do a webinar, crypto, Bitcoin, and blockchain webinar, where I kind of cover all the basics that you need to know. The first half's very much the background and the tech side, and the second half is the investing side. I also do 2 Q&As within it at half time and at full time. So if you've got any questions, you can ask me. And if you can't make it live, I send out a recording. So that's obviously very
Ooh,
handy too. So yeah, there'll be one in December. I'm not sure if this podcast will go out in time for that one,
mm-hmm.
but there'll be one in January as well. And
Great.
yeah, also, I just wanted to talk about my community briefly, if that's all right
Mm-hmm.
as well. Yeah, so I've got the Enlightened crypto community, which is basically a portal for all your kind of crypto needs. There's an academy within there. I just created a video today. Actually, we've got about 40 videos in there now, kind of all the basics, how-to videos. If you want to get into reading charts, that kind of stuff's on there. And then we do some wider perspective stuff, linking crypto and spirituality, all that good stuff. And then we do regular updates, which is important because it's very fast moving. And there's portfolio guidance in there where you can learn about individual projects and decide for yourself which ones you'd like to invest in. Because I like to educate people and also empower them to make their own decisions. I don't like to spoon feed people and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And also in there, we've got a Zen Den section, which all my meditations are available in there, and some self-development videos, because it all kind of ties in together, really. But yeah, it's just a platform where you can learn to build wealth within the crypto space, essentially.
Great. And share your website as well.
Yeah, so it's www.enlightenwithalex.co.uk. So my other
Perfect.
work, I do kind of blogging and got my own podcast, but haven't touched that for a while. Is on there, and you'll find the crypto section if you'd like to sign up, or the details on the website as well. So yeah, thank you
Amazing.
so much for having me on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. And just as always, I will have all direct links as well from the show notes on my website to your work. But thanks a million, Alex, for what you're doing and for joining and sharing today. And I wish you all the best.
You too, Karen. Thank you ever so much for having me on. Big love to all your listeners.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you get notified every time a new show is released. Get more information on this week's guest as well on my website www.soulpowerlight.com.